We're doing potatoes tests, and there's a few different ways to plant them, and there's a few different types of potatoes as well.
Okay, so what types are we actually planting today?
Well, we've got first earlies like these, and these are fast growers. So these tend to be ready in sort of between 75 and 90 days. And then we've got these, which are the second earlies, and these are slower growers but give you a bigger harvest. And these tend to be ready in sort of 90 to sort of 120 days.
Okay.
And then in this big tub down here, we've got the main crops, and they just keep on growing until the first frost,
Right.
and they give an even bigger crop. And so you can see that we've got them in different size containers, because that kind of just reflects the size of the harvest that we're trying to achieve out of the three.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those were potatoes planted in containers, so now we're going to plant them in the ground?
Yeah, we are. And we're going to plant the same ones, so Charlotte, second earlies. And I like to do for those about 5 potatoes in a square metre.
Okay.
And the ground's well prepared, so it's already got some well rotted manure. That's what's on the surface here.
Yeah.
And a little bit of blood, fish and bone, just the same.
Okay.
But just on the surface. And so now we just get the trowel. Well, let's just mark it out so we can see. So basically we're going to have a potato there, a potato there, one there, one there, and one in the middle. And so that's ideal for a second early.
Okay.
If we were doing this for a first early, we'd want 6.
Yeah.
So we kind of just move those over a little bit and put
Yeah.
them like that.
Okay.
And if we were doing a main crop, we'd just do 4.
Okay.
Right. So we just want to get the trowel, sink it in, pull it back, and then that's going to make a nice hole about 6 inches deep, and then we just drop the tuber in there and then just close the hole.
Perfect.
Right, do you want to do one, Tess?
Yeah.
Yeah, just drop it in.
So now we've planted the potatoes in the ground, what do we need to do now?
So just like we did with the containers actually,
Yeah.
as soon as they break surface, what we need to do is just cover them up to make sure that if any potatoes do develop near the surface here,
Yeah.
they don't go green. So we'll just drop a shovel load of compost on the top of them here.
Okay.
And then potentially, in about a month's time, we could drop another shovel load of compost on top of them.
Okay.
And so we're just gradually sort of building up a little bit of a mound here. And then when we harvest these, we're just going to pull them out, and all the potatoes will be there. And we should probably have about, between 10 and 20 potatoes, depending on the size. Water in similar sort of situation as well.
Yeah.
So, we don't need a huge amount of water when the potatoes are young.
Okay.
But as soon as we start to see those flowers, and that means the tubers, the potatoes, are starting to develop, we want to give them a good drench a couple of times a week.
Okay.
And that'll just help get as big a crop as possible.
Yeah.
There are some other ways of planting potatoes in the ground that are more applicable if you've got poorly drained soil, or you want early potatoes. So these are second earlies, but if you wanted really early potatoes, you need to warm the ground up as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And so what you'd build is a ridge, and then you put your potatoes at the bottom of the ridge.
Okay.
And the ridge, because it's sort of above the ground here, will warm up nice and quickly,
Yeah.
and so that'll accelerate the growth of potatoes. But we don't care about that because we're doing second earlies.
Yeah.
And the other advantage of the ridge is that it's better drained. So if this was really wet ground,
Yeah.
but obviously these are raised beds, so we don't have that problem. So these are one of those potato tubs, 10 weeks old, Swift. So we're just going to harvest these. So we only put 1 tuber in these small pots, so we won't get a very big yield. But at this time of year, kind of any potatoes are like a real bonus. Even the little ones.
They're my favourites, the little ones. What are we going to do with this old compost now?
I just put it straight back into the compost bin.
Okay.
And then we'll just add loads more green waste to it.
Okay.
And it'll all be rejuvenated and ready for next year.
Nice.
So those potatoes that we planted 2 weeks ago, they're up again now. They're broken surface, so we're just going to get some compost and cover them over.
Cleaned up these potatoes and aren't they looking great? So these are potatoes we planted about 2 weeks ago?
They are, and so we're just going to cover them up now just to make sure that they don't go green as they grow. And we can cover them up again a bit later on, but just a couple of handfuls of compost should do the trick.
Yeah. So, Dad, what do the worms do in the soil?
Nothing, only good things really.
Yeah.
So they kind of digest the organic matter that's in the soil, and they make all these like little tunnels through the soil which really improve drainage.
Ah.
So yeah, they're really useful. And they also come up to the surface and take organic matter from the surface and take it deep down into the root zone of the plants. So
Yeah.
worms are
A good
the gardener's best friend.
thing.